All right, so thank you everyone for joining this session. This is going to be focusing on how do you really build the images that are going to be used with either the Docker or with the Kubernetes. The idea for this session is when as DevOps engineer, whether you're part of the DevOps team, whether you're part of the development team, whether you're part of the cloud engineering team, at the end, the need is to produce the image. So what's really going to happen in this session is that we are going to see how do you really write down the build process, the build steps, how do you integrate your code, how do you pull the code from the repository, put it, merge it with the Docker image, how do you really create an image out of it, what are the steps that is needed, how do you write down the release pipeline so that the images then are being pushed to the ACR, which is the container registry. And that's the end goal of this session. We're not going to be seeing how to deploy the code or how to deploy the images rather, because that's something that we have covered multiple times in the past session that we have done. So Manglesh is the one who's going to be starting this session. He'll be walking through some of the points in the presentation. And then Akhil is going to show us a demo. In the end, we will open up for the question and answers. What you can do is that while you're going through the presentation, if you have any questions, put it into the chat box. And in the end, we will certainly try to answer some of those questions. Okay. So Manglesh, I'll hand it over to you. You have the rights to you. Anyway, you was able to unmute it, so you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, HB. Thank you for setting up the context. So, hello and welcome, guys. Thanks for your time today, and let's start. So, I'll introduce the team for today. Hadeep Bamra is an DevOps practice lead for HI, and he's having a very vast experience of infrastructure. Myself, Manglesh Vyas, leading the tech lead and build and release team, having 15 years of experience in cloud technologies, infrastructure, and as well as in cloud technologies and DevOps practices. With us, we have senior engineer Akhil, who is also coming with a very good experience on cloud technologies as well as DevOps practices. So today's session where we are going to learn is building Sitecore XP single image for Kubernetes. So, all the time when we deploy the infrastructure, but all the developers develop their code and how that development code should go into an image and can be deployed. This is what we are going to show on this session or learn in this session. So, what we have used is, these are the resources. This is an Helix-based Sitecore solution, which will be, given in description of, our presentation once we have YouTube video. And other thing is in tool, we have used Azure DevOps build pipeline for this whole demo. So this is, workflow of development cycle. What happens in development? So who they are developers, they develop a solution for our client on Sitecore solution, right? So they will, build some templates, some functionalities, and they will have their own, solution in their own system where they will check that, solution is working fine. Once they confirm that everything is what needed to go outside has been, there, they will push their repository to a particular branch, right? Once it has been pushed to a branch, they will make sure that this branch is updated, and they will create a pull request to higher branch where, things are going to be in actual picture where, once it has been created a pull request, that pull request will be checked by an approver and see if, are there any issues or not. Even if it is there, then it will get back to the developer and say that these are the affected areas where you can do changes and come back. Once they say that, and once they see that, they will put again pull request. Approver again checks it. They will also check whether the build pipeline has done all the PR checks, and once they approve, the higher branch will start a build process. What will happen here? The higher branch will start, as we are working with Sitecore, it will always work with an .NET. So .NET build will take place, and it will go through all the projects that we have defined and into the solutions and start building up the files and TDS items and Sitecore items and everything. And with the help of NuGet, it will build the whole solution and creates an image. So here the whole image will be bundled up and available for us, right? So this build image will have not only a site code, but a solution that this developer has developed. So now this image will be pushed to ACR. So once this image has been pushed to ACR, can be used in all the environments from dev to test to UAT to production, right? So this development cycle of a developer to push the code, building the functionality of Sitecore and everything will be always continuous process. So this cycle will always evolve in every project that we do. Now you have seen how the development process will evolve, but what we are here for, we are here for seeing the actual what we're going to demonstrate, which is creating a XP single image. So to create the XP single image, these are the steps that are going to be needed, right? So first step into this will be a performing installing the NuGet. What NuGet comes in? So NuGet is one of the package management tool which will make sure that all our build, all the other different projects that we have added in the solution will be get combined into one and get a NuGet package out of it, right? Second step into this would be a performing NuGet restore. What is NuGet restore? So while building a solution, we do references some of the NuGet packages from Sitecore to Microsoft and from the other solution parameters. NuGet packages are required to build a code. So here we are going to restore all those NuGet packages that are referenced in a solution into a package directory on a agent server. Once that has been done, all about two requirements are done, then we will start building a solution. The same way that you run a build on your local system or in Visual Studio or using the Visual Studio Code, same way with Azure Pipeline, are going to run MS build and create a solution standard. And as I said, once the building process starts, it starts creating the all the artifacts into a NuGet package. Now all those builds, solutions and artifacts needed to be combined into a Sitecore image. For that, what we're going to do is we are going to install a Docker installation or Docker on my Microsoft agent or DevOps agent. Once it has been installed, we will do, with the help of Docker file and Docker Compose YAML, we are going to perform a Sitecore image build. This will not only pull down the base image of Sitecore, in that it will also add the solution or the artifacts that got generated during the build process. This is really important step in this because it compiles not only a Sitecore, but it also adds our code into it. Once it has been done, what we do is we will check the integrity of the image, as well as we are going to tag that image with some build ID or a reference number so that everyone knows what is the latest image that we should be using, right? So this is what we do in tagging the image or checking the image. Once everything has been done, we feel that image is quite perfect and should be pushed to ACR. This step will kick in and push my build image into my ACR. ACR is nothing but Azure Content Registry, like the way all you have seen in back previous sessions that we use Docker Hub or Docker repository. This is just kind of an Azure Content Registry where we are going to push this image and leverage that image into subsequent environment. Once that has been done, sometime developer comes and says that this is what we have pushed. I just wanted to check, all those uh, artifacts, all those Sitecore TDS item that we have pushed into a solution. uh, we just wanted to verify that are those perfect or not. So this is where we are going to publish those artifacts into a pipeline. So once the pipeline is successful, those artifacts will be available for us to check and for us to see what we have sent into a image that we have just built, right? Once this has been done, uh, we will love to see how this things takes place into a practical way. So for this, I would request my colleague Akhil to show us how it happens. Akhil, it's over to you.
Thank you, Manglesh. Thanks a lot. So I'll be sharing my screen, and here we go. This is the portal of Azure DevOps, how it looks and all. I hope many of you would be familiar with this. For some of you, it would be new. But yeah, it's just a tool that would help you in doing your CI/CD work. So Manglesh explained you all the process, how the things would happen. He explained you the significance of each and every step. Now, I am going to explain you each and everything in a practical manner. So it would be a quick, and it would be, I believe, in quick and crisp sessions. So I would be just explaining you how the things happen, and then you can and I'll cover most of the things. In case you have anything, then we can take it up after the session. So let's start. So your developer has come and he has made some changes in a feature branch. So let's assume that there's a developer who was working on feature branch, that was demo branch. He was working there, he made some changes on that. Now he wants to merge that branch, that feature branch, to his develop branch. He wants to merge that. So what he will do, he will create a pull request. So he created a pull request for that, and he went to his tech lead or someone to get it approved. So I, being a tech lead on this thing, I'll just go there, review the files, what all changes he did. I might even include some build validations or and many other testing here. I might have some work items attached to it. I might have some other tests attached to it. So I'll review those, and based on them, once I'm satisfied, I'll click on approve, and then I'll merge this thing into this feature branch into my develop branch. Now, this develop branch and this development branch can have multiple build policies in place. So for instance, in this particular instance, I have a trigger set on my build on my this development branch, that whenever new commits come in, it should automatically trigger a build pipeline. So how would the pipeline look like? So the pipeline would look like something like this. So this is my pipeline that is going to trigger. This is build solution. Right now you would be seeing, okay, nothing is triggered. So when I'll do a refresh over here, you'll see it is building. So it will start building and giving us the result, basically end product out of it. We'll be getting the end product is same that we all know. It would be a Docker image. So coming to the code, what kind of code is it? It is a basic .NET web project that we have. The code that we have is provided essentially by Sitecore only. So there is no new science over here. They provide it, and we have used it. For the demo purposes, we wanted to keep things simple. So we took their code so that even you can, when you go back from the session, you can just download it from there and do the R&D on your own on that thing. So you'll get the code, and you'll build the code. So to build the code, you know the drill. Do a NuGet restore and you do a MS build. So that's the drill. So once this code is built, so we'll be getting some artifacts. What kind of artifacts would be? There would be some app configs and all this, and so there would be, since this project is having some TDS items, so it would be a WDP output out of it, that WDP package out of it. So I'll share my screen and show you what kind of where the artifacts would go. So after building this code, you'll see a new folder that would be TDS generated packages. There is also another folder that is packages, which would contain all the packages that would come once you do a NuGet restore. But we'll be our main focus is on TDS generated packages, which would, when we'll go inside, we'll find two folders. One is release, that is containing all your app configs, bins, and everything. So basically, all the data that's going to be deployed over there, it resides over here. Your all the views and HTMLs, everything would come over here. And your TDS items, the items that are going to be deployed, which are going to be doing a serialization over there and giving you the new items over there. So those would be coming over here in the web deploy release. And here you'll find the content, core, and master. I won't be going into the technicalities of what these items are, since this is a like purely Sitecore thing. And for that, I would recommend watching the previous videos, or if there isn't any, we'll schedule a session and we can go deep in this, what kind of packages are, but these are basically items that are going to sync over there. So we know, right? How the artifacts are going to look like the post after building your code. So this is how the artifacts are going to look like. So now let's go to our build pipeline, and see so this pipeline is still running. So I'll go to the build pipeline and I'll tell you what things I have configured in this pipeline. So the steps are exactly the same that were told by Manglish in the beginning. You do a NuGet install. Why do we do NuGet install? See, there might be instances that your agent might not come with a NuGet. So, and you might be working on-premise system, or you might use a Azure hosted agent. So for that, we do have a NuGet install over here. So basically, it will just download your NuGet binary. The next step is a NuGet restore. So basically, it will do a restore on your solution. All the dependencies that are mentioned in your NuGet.config file, they would be restored at that packages folder. Next, you go for the Visual Studio build. So basically, this is just the MS build. So you give your path to your solution file, and then you pass on, okay, which mode you want to build it in, release mode, debug mode, whatever mode you want to go for. If you want to have any additional parameters, okay, I want to activate some particular DLL or something like that. There are some various configurations that you can give for MS build. So yeah, so you can give over here, and you can build your code. So I've already shown you the output, how it will look like. So we already know it would be under TDS generated packages. So just keep in mind, we are going to use it in the next phases. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install Docker CLI on my agent. So see, when you will be using a Microsoft hosted agent, it would be a fresh agent every time. And on a fresh agent, on an agent that is fresh every time, it will not have a Docker CLI there, right? So for that, we'll need to install, and here I'm installing the most stable one, that is 17.0. It is a community edition one. So I'm installing that one over here. And the next, once it is installed, what I'm doing is I'm running the command build. So what I'm doing Docker Compose build on that thing. So if you are familiar with the Docker world, how we are going to build the images, how would we create. So there are two terminologies. One is the Docker Compose, and when we have a Docker file. So we are going to use the Docker Compose over here, and that Docker Compose is going to call our Docker file, which would have all the instructions, what it is going to do. So Manglish already told you, right, that there would be an image that will be merging on. We'll be putting a solution in one of the images. So this is a step where this whole type of configuration would happen. To show you what would happen, let me go to the code base and show you what is actually happening over there. I'm here at my code base, and if you'll see the Docker Compose file. So Docker Compose file, it is just giving instructions, and it is telling that there is a Docker file placed at the root of my code, which is having all the instructions. So we are giving it a parameter that is the base image. So this base image is nothing, just your Sitecore vanilla image. So the image that is not having any kind of core, it is just having a Sitecore installed in that. So that's the image that we are getting. So I'm building on top of it. I'm going to place all the build artifacts into it, so that the image is customized. It is having all my updated components, and that image I'll be using in my higher environments, like the development environment or the UAT and all of those environments. So this prepared image would be used in the higher environments. So to understand what happened in the Docker file, what happens in Docker file, it is very, very simple. You go inside your Docker. When you'll go inside the Docker file, you'll see some of these kind of instructions. But I'll explain you in a much, much simpler manner. What is happening is over here is I have my base image. I'll go into my www root path. So this is where your whole Sitecore items would be placed. Your whole Sitecore installation would be. What I'm going to do is going to place all my app configs, your bins, and everything on that path. So app config would go in app config, the bins would go in the bin. So everything would go at the right place when this particular instruction would execute. Then what we are going to do is we are going to install our TDS items. So we have this part TDS generated web deploy release. So we had those WDP items over there, and we are putting those into a temp, and then we're doing some extractions and all, granting our IIS pool the necessary permissions, and then what would happen is whenever your container would come up, these TDS items would automatically install. So actually Sitecore gives you two flavors. One is this flavor, you can install it this manner. The other manner is you can just have a script over there, execute it once your container is up. But personally, I would say this one is a much better approach, much automated approach. So this was a file that was explaining everything. Now coming back to the build pipeline. So you would now understand what is happening in the build, your Docker Compose file, what kind of instructions are happening over there. Now, coming on to the next. So this will build your file, Sitecore, basically image would come over there, and that image would be by the name of, let me show you. Yeah, that image would be named by the name of your registry. This is my custom registry. This is the Sitecore registry from where we are pulling the image. This is the public registry you can even pull on your system. This is my customized registry where I'm going to push my image. This is my custom project. In this case, it is Sugin demo. Since it is a demo, XP0 is my topology. Basically, it's since it's XP single. So yeah, the CM and the prepared version is you can whatever version you want to go. For my simplicity, I'm giving it as a latest right now. So coming back to the pipeline, you build your code. The output of this whole step should be a Docker image file. Docker image, basically, not the file, a Docker image that would be tagged with the right version, latest, and would have the name, my registry, project name, and the topology. So the image would be created, and then what do I do is I tag that image. See, your image is created. It is having the version as latest. The basically a tag as latest. I used the terminology version to make you understand things a little better. So the latest is there. Now, whenever but if I push this particular latest tag over there, yes, it will work for every case. Whenever you will try to push, you will try to pull this image, it will get pulled and it would be easy. But consider working in when you'll be working in like 4 or 5 developers or even hundreds of developers. Everyone would be building the code, and there would be multiple things going on in the backend, and there would be multiple versions going into ACR. So in that case, you would want that each of your versions image is versioned, so that okay, I want to deploy this particular version because this particular version has my code. Okay, and you don't want to end up, okay, I want to deploy something, and you end up deploying, okay, man, somebody pushed something and that went in, and an unexpected feature came out. So you don't want that, right? So that is the reason you go ahead with this versioning. So right now I'm using the build ID as my version. You can go ahead with anything that you feel like it's your part of our industry or industry standards. You can go ahead with anything that is suitable to your organization. Then I check the images, how they would look like. And then once the images are, once this tagging is done, I'm pushing this image to my ACR. ACR is nothing, just my Azure Container Registry. This is the same, something synonymous to your Docker Hub, where all the images are present. You would be familiar with that. If you're not familiar, let me break it down. You can have a simple registry, Nexus or something like that, where you put your all those NuGet packages. When you come into the realm of images, you put those into Docker Hub. And if you want something private, you can go for the private version of Docker Hub. Or in our case, since this is terminology completely in Azure, you go with ACR, that is Azure Container Registry. So I push everything there. I'm pushing my latest tag as well as my build ID, so that if there is someone who wants to just work with the latest tag, he can work. But in case someone wants to work with some versions, yes, then he can work with that as well. And in the end, I'm just publishing my artifacts out over here. So just like we got this feedback from our developers, that they want to check the artifact. Sometimes there are a few things that might break in development environment. They want to check which particular feature or line of code was problematic, so they can check it from here. But yes, this is a completely optional step. You can just totally ignore it. We don't usually use it a lot, but since it was a demo, we thought of giving you letting you know how you can use this step and even make your life easier, because troubleshooting can be a pain if you don't know how to troubleshoot. So this way you can troubleshoot in a much better manner. So your code would be built, and if you want to if you would want to see how the logs would be pretty much simple, and you would be very much familiar with the logs. You do a NuGet install. I told you a binary would come in. So this is the path where from the binary is coming. You do a restore. Restore is same that you do. You do a build of your solution. So this is just the same solution build that we are all familiar with. And then we go for a Docker CLI installation. Then we go for the image build. So I told you that there is a base image that we are pulling from Sitecore registry. So this is the path. I'm pulling this particular tag of this particular image from the Sitecore registry. It is pulling over there. After the pull is complete, it is running those set of instructions that I gave. Once those are ready, your image is ready. If you'll see, it is writing successfully built. So your image is ready over here. And then what is happening? I'm tagging that. So if you'll see, this is my latest tag, and this is my custom tag that I applied over it. And then I'm pushing that to my ACR. So this gets pushed over there to my ACR so that it is available for use on your, even for your local environment or in your Kubernetes, wherever you want to use, you can use it quite well. And let me show you the artifacts. I told you, right? The troubleshooting will be very easy. If you'll go to the artifacts, you'll find all the artifacts. You'll see your bins, your app configs, and your WTP items. So your developer can just download these things, check what component is breaking. They can even deploy on their own local Sitecore instance to check their issues. So this way they can do the troubleshooting. And in the end, now we want to see where those images went to. So if you go to your ACR on the Azure portal, this is my Azure portal. This is my Sugin demo. This is my container registry, which is having everything. In the repositories, you will see this is my custom image that we built, Sugin demo XP0. If you're familiar with this name, and these are the tags. So this is the latest tag if you want to go with the latest tag, and this is my custom tag. This is 338. If you want to use this or 337 or 336, there are some use cases when you want to go with the custom tag. So this is fulfilling those kind of use cases. So that's all for the practical aspect. I tried to cover a lot. I tried to expedite all the things that can help you. I hope this was helpful. Now I'll be moving on to Manglesh. I will giving the control back to Manglesh, and once he finishes, we'll be open for questions. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Manglesh, over to you.
Thanks, Akhil. This was really nice explanation of how we are going to create our build image. So hope everyone has got their better share of luck and knowledge with this. But I would like to have some questions from you, team, and to know more of how you liked it or what you want to know further. So we are open for question answer session now.
Thank you, guys. If you have any questions, add it to the chat window. There are a couple of steps that's from an security standpoint that's not been included here. For example, people might have questions and say that, okay, how are you really managing the security of the images? For example, you can use the Docker scan with the image name, and that should help you in verifying the vulnerabilities in the image. That's a step that's not been added here because the idea was to primarily focus on building the image and showing it to people how to really do that. So there are a few steps that's not been added. Docker scan image is not added. There are third-party tools that you can use it. Something we have not really included. We're not really yet focusing on the XP scale part of it. This is only for a single XP single of it. But in the future, we will probably start looking at it from an XP scale point of view too. So intentionally, we have avoided few steps so that we can focus primarily on what we really need to build. So I hope this has been informative for you. Beyond this, if you want to take it forward, you should probably look into some of the other sessions that we have done in the past. For example, if you would like to know how do you really go and deploy these images either in Docker or on the Kubernetes, and I'm referring to Azure Kubernetes as a services, then there are multiple sessions that we have done in the past on XP Single and on XP Scaled. So if you have any questions, let us know, and we can try to answer that. Doesn't look like I'm getting any questions, so I believe everybody is confident. Okay, I've got a feedback from Maulik. Nicely explained. Thank you for the feedback. Hopefully, we will keep on doing more sessions. We started from doing the cloud engineering part of it, where we showed people how to really build the infrastructure, Azure Kubernetes, and deploy the images, the default images. Now we are getting into the series of doing it for build and release, where we are going to be showing to the community on how to really work and build the XP single and XP scale images. Maybe in the future, we'll also start focusing on the horizons and a few other stuffs, which is exciting stuff. So yeah, thank you for the feedback, Bala. I suppose you have been attending our sessions regularly, so thanks for that. Looks like we do not really have any more questions, so probably we can end our session here. This video recording is going to be available on the YouTube channel. Thank you for your time this afternoon, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you, Manglesh. Thank you, Akhil.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thanks a lot.